All right, so we have Colleen here today. I am so excited to chat to her as she is my first female Bitcoiner that I am interviewing. So thank you so much for coming on, Colleen. And before we get into it, I'd like to read her bio so you have a general idea on who she is. You might already know her as the Bitcoin gal, correct?
That's right.
Okay, and Colleen is a proud mom, which I love to hear more about, and how that integrates with being a Bitcoiner, and a writer, and of course, a passionate Bitcoiner. Known on X as Bitcoin Gal, she shares her story of going all in on Bitcoin and strategy during a pivotal reset in her life. By showing up both online and at real life events, she discovered a meaningful community, joined the True North team behind the scenes, and expanded her conviction to include MetaPlanet. Her hope is simple: to educate, inspire, and help others find freedom through Bitcoin. So thank you so much for coming on, Colleen.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Of course. So, reading your bio, you've talked a little bit about your pivotal reset in your life and how you, went all in on Bitcoin and strategy at that time. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. I'll tell you a little bit about how I came to find Bitcoin. I have a very tech savvy family, and my oldest brother found Bitcoin early on, we'll say around 2012, 2013. And he talked about it nonstop at every family party. He was obsessed with it and obsessed with the technology, and just kind of tuned him out constantly. I was curious sometimes. I'd engage him in conversation and humor him. But for the most part, it was just like eye rolls and, heard enough of that. I was married with 2 young kids. I was a stay-at-home mom for a period of time. And in around 2019, 2020, my marriage started falling apart. And so I was, at that time, going back to work full-time and trying to figure out how I was going to forge forward. And you have a lot of hope when you're going through that kind of a life change. And it's like, I'm going to be working until I'm 80, and all I wanted to do was be a mom. That was like, once I became a mom, that was what I did best, and that's what I wanted in life. So
you found your calling.
Yeah, and so to have to suddenly shift everything was really, really hard and emotionally difficult. And then we had the COVID pandemic in 2020, and just like with my marriage collapsing and the world just kind of blowing up, and everything just felt very unsettled in my life. And so it was January of 2021 that Bitcoin found me again. Even though I've been hearing about it for 8 or 9 years, it finally found me. And I called my brother up and I was like, can you tell me about Bitcoin? And of course, ask any Bitcoiner to tell you about Bitcoin. And he was like, are you serious? And we talked for about 3 or 4 hours, and I hung up the phone and I was like, I have to buy Bitcoin like right now. And my bank wouldn't allow it. My bank kept locking me out of my account. Every time I tried to transfer money to an exchange to buy Bitcoin, it locked me out, which only strengthened my conviction that night. It's like, my bank is controlling my money. So the next day, I went to the bank, closed my account, brought it to a bank that would allow me to buy Bitcoin, and started just buying it as much as I could. And I finally felt like, it was like an alignment that this is what I need for my future. This is what I need for my kids. It all just suddenly clicked and made sense. And became, way down the rabbit hole super fast. And absorbing as much information as I could, having so many conversations with my brother, but also then I started, following people on X. That is the time frame where I found Dylan. I was following him in 2021 on X, and was really just a lurker though, and had, different accounts that I followed. So that's how I got there. And I've said this so many times, but I found the hope that I needed for my future at that moment, and grabbed on and ran with it.
This intro that you gave me, I have so many questions already. So the first thing that I want to know is, what do you mean by when you said Bitcoin found you again?
Well, it was there for 7 or 8 years. I wasn't ready to understand it. I wasn't ready to, I probably, if I had bought Bitcoin in those earlier years, I wouldn't have known what to do with it. I would have sold it. Who knows? I know that I just wasn't ready to understand exactly what it was. So I really feel like at that time, it's Bitcoin knocked on my door, hey, you're gonna need me. So here I am. And so I feel like it's more so it found me than I found it.
That sounds really sweet. It kind of sounds like a love story, actually.
In a lot of ways, I think it is.
It's like your new life partner, essentially. And you said, what I found interesting about when you said when the bank didn't essentially withheld your money when you wanted to buy Bitcoin on your exchange, that strengthened your conviction. I found that very interesting because for maybe a lot of people, when they do experience that, they're like, oh, okay, maybe it's a little bit sketchy. It's not something that you should move forward with because a lot of people do trust the bank, right? But why did that situation strengthen your conviction in saying, okay, Bitcoin is it?
I think I was just at this stage of my life where I was recognizing just a lot of control that happens all around us. And that was something that I was trying to escape from. And so I think that just with everything that I was dealing with at the time in my life, just an added layer of someone or something trying to have control over what I do in my life was and I think I really was just transitioning into a stage of life of a lot more empowerment and a lot more kind of standing up for myself and what I believe in and what I feel is right. And so it just,
I love that. Because the general public, I guess non-Bitcoiners, when I say that, they think Bitcoin is very much just about quick money, right? Because it's equated to just cryptocurrencies in general. I feel like there's a lot of confusion or lack of understanding on how Bitcoin is a little different from other tokens or coins. But I love that you put in this empowerment aspect in your journey of Bitcoin. And so I want to ask you, how did Bitcoin empower your life?
Well, it was empowering because it is something that is completely decentralized, that it's all of the people that contribute to it and contribute to the network that strengthens it and really makes it unique from anything that we've ever had in our world before. I think for me to be able to take complete control is also very empowering. It's I learned how to self-custody and I learned how to do things that, I never would have thought that I was capable of doing before. But also there's a lot of responsibility in custodying your own money. And,
for sure.
And so that itself is very empowering. But I think it's so important that we as humans are responsible for ourselves and what we own and what we do. And so it was just very empowering to be I've learned how to do this and I'm doing it. So
So you've talked a little bit about, your marriage pre-Bitcoin and then also your life after Bitcoin. If you don't mind, and to whatever extent you're comfortable sharing, how did your lifestyle change once you started really adopting Bitcoin? I know you've talked about, having control with your money. Was there any other areas that changed because of you adopting Bitcoin?
Well, it really gave me, that freedom that I was seeking. But also it gave me a whole new outlook on money and our whole system that I never really understood or had before. I did not go to school for finance or economics, or I tried to stay as far away from that as I could when I was in college. So it was suddenly wow, this stuff is really interesting. Then I took an active interest in my financial freedom. So adopting Bitcoin. And then after I got divorced, it was I was in control of everything, all of the bills, all of my investments, everything that I was doing from my present time and looking into my future. And that is where the whole strategy and MetaPlanet has come into my life, because it was I I had these investments that were just, sitting in these target dated funds that were going to retire me when I was 70 if I was lucky. Yeah. And I was like, what am I doing here? What do I want for myself and what do I want for my future? And because I found Bitcoin, or Bitcoin found me in 2021, that was when Saylor was really coming to the scene. So I was following along with that. And then it was just like, this company aligns with my belief system. This company is, a leader and it's transformative. And that also just like, I really related to, because I felt like my whole life had transformed. And here's a company that completely transformed. So I didn't want to be invested in these 2040 funds anymore. I didn't want to be invested in like Apple or Google, because they didn't align with what I believed in. And so that was when I like hit this moment where it's like, I'm going to put my money where my beliefs are. And so I took my investments that I had and put them all in strategy. So
all in.
All in, yeah. I mean, I have my Bitcoin, and then those investments that I had, they all just got closed out and moved into strategy.
Wow.
And all in like one swoop moment of I'm gonna do this, and it's gonna be scary, and I'm going to probably ride a major roller coaster, and I'm going to just ride the roller coaster. If it goes low, I'm gonna make it through. It's gonna go back up again. And that is exactly how it was. But that's where then like things really pivoted for me, because that's when I started engaging on X and found this community, because here I was like all alone, going on this roller coaster ride with Bitcoin and strategy, and found the MSTR community, and I was one of the very few women in that community when it first started on X. So I think I kind of stood out a little bit just for that reason alone. But it was like, wow, there's all these people that think the same as me and have gone all in, and they're just as crazy as I am. And it was it was really like, no, absolutely. And it was a relief, and it was, I think exactly what I needed at that time in my life. So it was life-changing for me. All of these different moves. So.
It's freedom and community, and I guess those things are the ones that like really changed in your life, right? It seems like everyone that I interview, they always have like a sibling who is really, really for or really, really against Bitcoin. And I'm sure your brother is very happy that you've adopted this into your life and actually like really full in, like all in now.
Well, interestingly enough, I mean, he's understood Bitcoin forever, but he does not have the same, I mean, he has conviction, but he's never, he's going to watch this and be mad at me. I am in the family, I'm the youngest of 5, and I come from a very tech-savvy family. My brother is in IT, my dad is retired now, but he was in IT. And so there are several people in my family that have an understanding of Bitcoin, but everyone now knows me as the one that's like the most all in. I think I'm a little bit crazy or too risky, but I don't see it as risk. It's to me, it's like, where else do you want your money to be than the best money that there is in the world? I think that everything else is risky, so I just look at it differently.
Yeah, and I want to, since you've mentioned True North or MSTR and MetaPlanet as well, I want to know, what is it about strategy that you kind of got hooked onto and then really went into the deep end of getting involved and working with the True North guys, who really started this, community of analyzing Bitcoin treasury companies and educating people about strategy and, of course, Bitcoin. How did you decide that, or what made you decide that you wanted to really go all in, even in the community side?
It was really by accident. I mean, the going all in on strategy that was not an accident, that was very intentional. But kind of going all in on the community was complete mistake. Not a mistake. It just wasn't planned. So
wonderful surprise.
Yeah, so strategy was just like an easy alignment, and I want to add also with, once I had an understanding of MetaPlanet, the same thing of like this alignment of what my belief system is. But so then with the community, I just started engaging, and they engaged back, and there was a lot of communication there. But it was last October that there was the Bitcoin First conference out in Santa Monica, and a lot of the True North guys were going, and True North wasn't established yet, or I think Jeff was in the early stages. It wasn't announced, it wasn't public yet. So I, on a whim, decided to go to that conference. I think I booked my flight the day before the conference, and I think I bought my ticket to the conference 2 days before. A little bit of encouragement from some of the guys that are on the True North team for me to go there. So it was on a complete whim. I was a little bit terrified. And they instantly, there was a handful of them that were there, and they instantly just, embraced me into their conversations, and they were all just like old friends. I felt like I knew them forever. But, they bring a very analytical side, and I think I bring a different perspective because I don't have the same finance background. Also, I bring a feminine perspective and a mom perspective. So, and I think that that's really important in Bitcoin and in the community as well, to have different perspectives come to the forefront and tell their stories. So then they started their group, and soon after they asked if I wanted to help out. And so I do things, I still work a full-time job, and I'm still a mom, and I do things, more behind the scenes on a small scale, but I'm always happy to jump in and help them wherever they might need support.
Yeah. I love what you said about the feminine perspective and also parenthood perspective into Bitcoin. Before I got really involved in the community, I think the general consensus is that crypto, or of course Bitcoin, is very male dominated. Why do you think the female perspective and the feminine perspective is important to our community?
I love this question because this is something where I am very passionate about it, and maybe too passionate, I don't know. But I don't want to discredit, what the male perspective is, but I am a woman, and I only know like what my experience is as a woman. And so I know exactly the emotions that I felt going through that pivotal change in my life. I know exactly, how difficult that was for me. And I see it on another platform, another social media platform. I used to participate in different like women's groups, and as I was getting closer to my divorce, I was joining like different finance groups because I had the same questions that I see a lot of women have these days of, what do I do with my finances? What do I do now? And so I think that there's just a lot of women, not to minimize what a woman's role is in finance, but I think that there's just like this fear that a lot of women experience, and the unknown, and also women need security, and they don't understand that Bitcoin is security. So it's really important to me to connect with other women and help them have a better understanding. And I think the best way that women do that is through sharing our own stories. And we are a lot more, I think, emotional beings that connect with through storytelling. And so I think that by sharing, what I have been through and how I got to where I am, I think it's helping other women see that path for themselves. At least that's what I hope for. And that's what I try to do with the stories that I share. And I don't want to discredit men. I'm grateful for everyone that has shared in my journey. And but I definitely have this like soft spot for wanting to bring more women into an understanding about Bitcoin.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I definitely share that sentiment as well. right before our recording, I was telling you, like, I love hearing or kind of making the female community or women's community more excited about something, right? We do face a lot of, whether we like it or not, there are some things that we face that are different from men, and men face things that are different from women as well. But women have to help each other in order to lift our community and also the entire community up. So
Right.
I love that you are putting your story out there, even if the past meant something difficult, and now you're sharing that success that you've experienced. Have a lot of women been coming up to you sharing their stories as well after you started sharing yours?
Yeah, I feel like and I want to hear their stories as well. So I think that there's definitely been a lot of connection, both online and in these real life events. You know, women, we do want that community, and that's how it's always been. If you think back to, like, you know, my grandmother had the women that she sat around and they did like their coffee clutching while the kids played outside, and that is. You know, we really want a sense of community. So I have definitely connected with a lot of women, both online and in the real world. But I would say something that was really striking to me was I went to Strategy World in back in early May, and I went to one of the like cocktail hour events, and there was a man there that had his wife that was just kind of saying like that she tries to listen in on stuff, but she really wasn't that interested, and so she kind of maybe doesn't tune in as much as her husband does, but you know, she kind of had a little bit of an interest. But as I started telling her my story, as we were communicating with one another, I recognized like this like shift in her expression of like from kind of like disengaged to curiosity. And then she started like asking more questions and started feeling, you know, that I think level of connection that women want to feel. And so I think that just reinforced what my purpose is of like wanting to bring more women into the space, because it's like I recognize that like the more that I tell my story, the more that women are like, let me learn more about this. There's something there.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, the world revolves because there are both men and women, right?
Right.
So everyone should be involved, and Bitcoin is only better when more people are involved. So I love that. And then, you know, you've mentioned like your storytelling and going out in real life events and also online events. What do you see yourself doing more in like the next few years? Like what's next for you through True North, or just as the Bitcoin gal?
That's a great question. There's a lot of unknowns there, I think, but as things have transformed over the past year in ways that I never anticipated, I definitely see a really bright path ahead. And I do think that in the coming years, there might be possibly some written work that I put out there. I'm working on something at the moment, and I think that it, again, shares Bitcoin in a way that a lot of people haven't experienced it yet, because it's through storytelling. And I think that it might bring in, you know, a whole new community. So that's one future possibility.
Really, really cool.
We'll see. Obviously, I do enjoy writing, and also, you know, being a mom is my number one priority, but another like core heart of who I am is a writer, and that's been me since I was 10 years old. So there is an aspect of me that's always wanted to take that writer and become an author. So I hope that that's a possibility in the future. And then really, I think like the possibilities with True North or, you know, other communities in the Bitcoin space are endless. It's, they're really an incredible group to work with, and we'll see where it goes.
Oh my God, I have so many questions. Because you were talking about, you know, being a mother and writing. I love that you're combining your passions now, really. But before I ask you a little bit more about like strategy and MetaPlanet, which I'm of course very curious about, how has your kids responded? Are you teaching them about Bitcoin already? Like, how old are they? When did you start orange pilling them, or are they orange pilled?
Yeah, so they are 15 and 13.
Yeah.
And so it was the same timeline as when I started going all in on Bitcoin. I said to them they had money that they had in savings in the bank. They had their own savings accounts, and I explained to them that I was closing my bank account and moving it elsewhere and moving my money into Bitcoin. And I explained to them that I really think that it was, and so at that time, they were 9 and 11 perhaps, or somewhere around there. I explained to them that I felt like that was the best place for them to put their money as well. And that this was like a long term, like we're not looking to take your money back out of it in the near future. Like this is for your future, for when you are adults. And so at those young ages of 8 and 10, they agreed to it. And so I closed out their savings accounts and I put every dollar that they had into Bitcoin. And
That is so cool.
And I keep that safe for them. And they do have, like at Christmas time, my brother will gift them Bitcoin as a Christmas gift if they choose. He'll ask if they want Bitcoin or some other gift. So they've been gifted Bitcoin as Christmas gifts over the years. So I think that they have a general understanding. I don't think they have the same degree yet that I might have, or other adults, but they have a good enough understanding about it.
And have they chosen Bitcoin over other presents for Christmas most of the time, or is it kind of 50-50?
You know what? They usually do. Sometimes they will say, like, can I have half Bitcoin and half cash? They're teenagers, and they need money to go out with their friends and DoorDash.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny. And on that topic, do you think is it important to educate kids, the younger generation, early on about Bitcoin or even finances in general? What's your take on that?
Yeah, definitely. I also an area that I'm very passionate about, and perhaps maybe some writing will go into that arena in the future as well. We'll see. But on the children's level, I think that it's so important for kids to understand how money works and to understand Bitcoin. This is something that I will debate on as well. I want Bitcoin to be, a medium of exchange that we are using in our world, because that's a better money and that is a better world, and that is what I want for my children. I want them to have a better money and a better world and a better future. And so, I think that we need to teach our kids about this and hope that they get that future. I'm optimistic.
Yeah. Do you think there's a lot of there is a lack of understanding with finances in general, and why aren't, as we grow up, we're so always involved with money, right? Like there's money involved in every aspect of our lives, but why is the education, from your perspective, lacking with the younger generation, or even, us as we're growing up?
Well, I think that that's intentional, that we aren't taught about, and not on like the parent level, but, in the system and the educational level, that we're not taught how money actually works and the way that it operates in our world. And so that kind of goes back to the whole level of control. So I think that it's so important that that everything kind of transforms into better knowledge.
So I think what I'm getting from you is the key to freedom, whether it be financial freedom or life in general, is to be more educated about how our finances work and what our way is out of that, from that broken system, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And, I think that for most of my life, I just followed what I knew, or what I was told, or what, the recommended advice was to put your money in a target fund and let it grow 6% while at the same time inflation is happening and you're really getting nowhere. But, I was just following what I was taught. Yeah. And I think that a lot of people are doing that. They're just like, this is all they know and they understand. So to change that perspective, I understand the level of fear because you only know what you know. So to start thinking differently and think outside of the box and realize that there's just, this whole other way, I think is scary for people. So that's why I understand that people maybe turn their backs to Bitcoin or tiptoe in or don't see it as, a money of the future, but see it just more as like, this is a way to make money, not that it is money,
So now I kind of want to pivot and we'll start wrapping up. I can't believe we've already talked for half an hour. It's been so interesting to hear about just you completely going full in on Bitcoin and, you're wearing a MetaPlanet shirt. I believe it was made by Mark, right? Of our community. And I want to learn or know about how you were all in also on strategy and then eventually MetaPlanet. What kind of research did you do to strengthen your conviction or be convinced of the companies?
Yeah. So for strategy, I got in a while ago. So I had that conviction built already in strategy, and I knew that was, where I wanted my investments to be. And then with MetaPlanet, it's really interesting because I was following Dylan and X, and I knew about MetaPlanet going in with their Bitcoin strategy last summer in June of 2024. So I was kind of following along, but to be honest, I didn't even know that as a United States citizen that I could invest in MetaPlanet.
Right.
So that was the first thing, is like, I didn't have an understanding of that. So I wasn't really paying that close of attention to it. I was watching what Dylan was doing, but I didn't know that it was like an opportunity for me.
Yeah.
So I wasn't doing the work. And then as I have gotten to know people in the community, and we all know Climb That Ladder, and he was in the strategy space, and he started talking about MetaPlanet, and other people started talking about MetaPlanet, and so then I started asking questions and having conversations both at Strategy World. There was a lot of conversation going on there,
right?
And I was having, some offline conversations and online conversations and doing research, and really found that this was also a very unique opportunity. And then understanding the opportunity that, that this is for the people that live in Japan. I was like, wow, this is really going to be life-changing for a lot of people there. So once I had like an understanding of what MetaPlanet was doing and was able to see that they have implemented this successfully for a full year.
Yeah.
Or it was, it was May that I transitioned into MetaPlanet as well. So 11 months. But was able to see that they were executing this strategy beautifully. And also, have been able to interact with Dylan and see more of what Simon is doing. And it was like, well, they align with my belief system as well. And I think that there is so much opportunity here that I didn't want to not be a part of that.
Well, I hope we continue to excite you with what we're doing. But to wrap up, I want to know what excites you the most about the next few years, whether it be about Bitcoin or strategy, True North, what you guys are doing, or MetaPlanet. What excites you?
Well, there's so much, because I think that there is so much transformation that's going to happen over the next few years that how can you not be excited about it? I mean, this is really like, when you think about what happened with the internet, no one thought, when I got email in 1997, I didn't know that my computer and life was going to be in my hand and in my back pocket.
That's true. Oh my God. Yeah.
And I think about Bitcoin the same way. It's like it is still in its infancy stages, and as it continues to be adopted into our world, we're just going to see this transformation of our world. And how can you not be excited about that? Like I can't wait to see where it goes, and to know that I have been a part of it, and then just like, as I've mentioned, being passionate about bringing more women into the space and helping them have a better understanding. I'm excited to see that transformation happen as well.
Yeah.
I mean, all of it. In the True North group, I think that they've got such a bright future, personal goals and plans that I have. I think we have an exciting few years ahead of us.
I know. I feel like every time I talk to, people like you, influential minds of the space, it gets me so excited that we're kind of basically in history of making in that pivotal moment, whether it be digitally or, financially, and it's gonna change. Yeah, if we're not in it, we're gonna miss that moment again, right? With the internet boom and whatnot. But yeah, I'm really excited to see what you come up with as well with your books and, maybe children's books. I don't know. I'm super excited to see that. I can't wait to hear more of your story and how you connect and bring on more women into our community. Maybe, the next Bitcoin conference, there'll be like 40% females versus like 10% females.
Yeah, we're already seeing, that shift, which is really exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. The women in Bitcoin brunch, like I was so shocked of how many people were there. So that was really exciting.
Yeah, definitely.
But I would love to wrap up and just say thank you so much. And also, we can find more of your work at the Bitcoin Gal on X, correct?
Correct. That's where I am.
And is there any other platform where we could follow your work?
No, currently that's the only platform that I'm writing on and participating on. So find me there.
Okay.
But, this has been really an honor. I am so excited that you invited me on, and I love talking all things Bitcoin and all things MetaPlanet. So I really am honored and really appreciate this. Thank you.
I am honored to have talked to you, and thank you so much for your time. And we will catch each other hopefully in real life soon as well.
Yes, definitely.
Thanks so much, Colleen.
All right, thank you.